The worst kept secret in all of NASCAR is finally official. And we've got some big news regarding the IndyCar silly season, as well as a rumor regarding the IndyCar silly season. All that and more is coming up here on SCN today. Hello guys and welcome. I'm Brian Hummel here. Anyway, let's get started with the Kyle Larson story. Of course, Kyle Larson has inked a multi-year agreement, and he will drive the number 5 instead of the number 88. Hendrick will return to the number 5 for 2021. And of course, again, Kyle Larson going to be the driver. Of course, it is the worst kept secret. I don't think it's a surprise. Kyle Larson did sell his World of Outlaws team. We know Hendrick, very strict. He does not want his drivers competing in other series while they're racing for him, so no surprise there. I guess it's a surprise he sold his team. I mean, he could have signed someone else, but maybe they wanted him focused solely on the NASCAR aspect. Maybe not the best situation for Larson. I mean, seeing that he loves to dirt race, but I think he's just focused on making his comeback in NASCAR and definitely getting his second chance. Of course, Larson, many agreed from what I saw in the comment sections on various posts regarding Kyle Larson. A lot of people think he deserves a second chance. I mean, I'm not going to comment too much to it. I mean, I'd say everyone deserves a second chance. I mean, Larson's definitely learned a lot in recent months. I think he's very apologetic for what he did. I think he realizes the significance of what he did. And I hope that he did learn from this. I'm not going to say he did, but I just hope for sure he's learned from this, and I hope that this is the end of that, and I hope he continues to grow from here. Of course, the signs leading up to this, again, his World of Outlaws team sold. That was my clear-cut sign that he's going to Hendrick at that point. I had hinted Justin Allgaier might be in the running, and then next year they'll give the ride to Gragson, but obviously now Hendrick is committed to Kyle Larson for years and years to come here. So, no surprise there. The big thing now, what'll happen to Noah Gragson, what'll happen to Alex Bowman, we'll see all that in the future. Of course, after 2021. Now, the one thing that surprises me about this announcement is the timing of it. Keep in mind that Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman are still in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Of course, last race didn't go well for them. They're both over 20 points back of 4th place, which is Brad Keselowski. So they got a lot of work to do at Martinsville. I think only one of them is going to be able to punch their ticket in, if any of them, right now. But here's the problem. Here's the thing. I guess it was a worst kept secret. It was eventually going to get released. I mean, you kind of released it in the middle of a race. No, the race was not running, but it was still the middle of a race. Drivers and crews trying to stay focused. Now you got the magnitude of this big announcement. Keep in mind, Kyle Larson, for what he did, he is a high-profile driver. He is high-profile, high-radar, big distraction. I mean, I'm not saying Hendrick threw the towel in when they announced this. I'm not saying that this is, I'm just saying this is a big distraction in a sense now for these drivers, because they're going to be getting questions instead of focusing with the media on, their playoff runs and what they can do better. I feared for the past few weeks when this announcement was going to come out, if it did during the playoffs, would this turn the attention away from both these drivers in the round of 8? Would it turn it into, well, what do you think of Kyle Larson being your teammate next year What are your thoughts on his incident last year? Do you think he's past all that? To me, it seems like a distraction. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think if they had called up Noah Gragson, maybe a little less of a distraction because he's not as high profile. Obviously, we knew Gragson wasn't going up to the Cup Series next year, and plain and simple, what I've seen, he's just not ready. He is nowhere near ready to go up to the Cup Series. But again, I think, just the fact that this is such a high-profile hiring, I think this just, again, could be a big distraction. I hope it's not, but many are going to be led, at least I'm going to be led to believe that if neither Chase or Alex Bowman move on, or at least claw their way back toward the Championship 4 picture here. And of course, turning to football here, there's a reason why. There's a reason why teams wait to announce their head coach hirings until after the Super Bowl or after a certain team is eliminated. Okay? There's a reason they wait, and it's because they don't want the distraction for that coordinator of the playoff team. They don't want that distraction for them as they enter the next round of the playoffs. So, like, let's say Robert Saleh, he was interviewed for the Browns head coaching positions. And, of course, so was their current head coach there, Stefanski, I believe it is. They were both interviewed. They waited till the Ravens were out to announce it. Yeah, there's a reason why those teams wait, because they don't want it to be a distraction for their coordinators. They don't want it to be a distraction for the team. They want it to be, they want them to focus on what's ahead. And I wonder, maybe could Hendrick have waited to make this announcement until after the season, or at least to find out if Chase and Alex Bowman move on to the Championship 4. It looks like only one of them are going to move on, if any of them will. But still, you would think he would wait. But again, I like this signing. I don't want you to think I don't approve of this signing. I think just, again, the timing may not be the most ideal. I could see it being a distraction. I'm not going to outright say it will be a distraction, but it certainly is something that could potentially be a distraction as we enter Martinsville next weekend. Switching gears to IndyCar now. And of course, the big news out of Chip Ganassi Racing, they've signed their third driver, and it is a familiar face in the Chip Ganassi stable. It is Marcus Ericsson in the number 8. He has signed a multi-year agreement to remain in that number 8 Husky Chocolate Chip Ganassi Racing Honda. And of course, I think this is a good signing. I mean, sure, he doesn't have a podium last year, but this is growing pains for him. He had growing pains in 2020, and I think he's a very talented race car. I don't believe he's wrecked many, if any, race cars, and that's something Chip Ganassi looks at. And Chip Ganassi loves winners. I think Marcus Ericsson could eventually be a winner in the NTT IndyCar Series. Again, he may have had a sophomore slump. He may have not had his best year. Again, this number 8 team, a lot of these guys came over, a lot of these engineers came over from IMSA, to my knowledge, from their IMSA Ford program. So, yeah, I mean, it was a full adjustment year. And again, there was really no way to get comfortable this year in a race car because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It really kind of hampered any chance of you building some chemistry with your team. Unlike in NASCAR, though, they did have practices to do so. But, I mean, it's his first year there. There were growing pains. I think the way they can look at it is we can only get better from here. And I think Chip knows that Marcus Ericsson's going to get better with time. he will eventually get to a point where he can start contending for wins, possibly even winning races. He showed some flashes of brilliance this year. But again, it was just, I think the pandemic kind of hampered a lot of things, and it really just hurt their chances to kind of get some chemistry going. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong there, but I would say that definitely that hampered any chance of real growth for this season. I think next season, certainly there will be some tremendous growth on the part of Marcus Ericsson, and I anticipate big things for him. Again, he has Scott Dixon as a teammate. He has Dario Franchitti rather as the driver coach over there, and both of them very, very proven champions, and possibly two of the greatest. Well, Scott Dixon, without a doubt, one of the greatest to ever hop into an Indy car, and Dario Franchitti, arguably one of the best to hop into an Indy car. So two guys that really know essentially what they're doing, and two guys who are proven champions on and off the track. So I think that's a good situation for Marcus Ericsson to continue to improve at Chip Ganassi Racing, and I'm glad to see that he will return for a second season, 'cause again, I feel like they can only improve from here. Another big story out of Chip Ganassi Racing today. Man, they're in the news quite a bit. So there was a tweet earlier, and it looks like it was deleted, but a tweet from an analyst. Of course, Ericsson was rumored to be back. Earlier in the day, it was confirmed by Chip Ganassi Racing. There's another rumor swirling about the number 10, and it is that obviously it is surrounding Felix Rosenquist's replacement. Alex Palou is rumored to take over that number 10 next season at Chip Ganassi Racing. So, anyway, again, Alex Palou, he had a decent year. He, had one podium this season. He was 16th in standings in his rookie year. But look at where he did that. He did that with no sponsorship through Indy, and then Guaranteed Rate joined that Dale Coyne and Team Go team. So, and he didn't have the best equipment. Dale Coyne is not one of the best team. They're a good team, but they're not the best team to race for in the garage area. And the other thing is, this guy is bold. He makes some incredible racing moves. He's a great racer, and he's got potential. Again, right situation for him could really set him above the rest, and I think this is for sure a situation that could set him above the rest. And the big thing is, he did wreck a few race cars, but he's a rookie. If you're a rookie, you really didn't have experience in those cars, you're bound to wreck a race car too. It's just the nature of the beast. And, again, I think he's bold. He is very bold. That's about the word I'd describe him with. And I think, if I had to ask, why isn't Ferrucci the guy that was listed in this rumor? The reason being, essentially, Ferrucci's good, and he makes some very aggressive moves. He's a fun driver to watch. But there are a lot of times where these moves have been in over his head. I think that's a big reason why he's not the top candidate considered for that 10. I'm sure he's in consideration for it, but I feel like the fact that he's wrecked some race cars, making some bold moves, he really didn't have the best season this year. He hasn't run, to me, he hasn't run to his full potential yet. And, again, Chip Ganassi, one thing he hates is wrecked race cars, and I think that's the big thing he's considering. If he's considering between Ferrucci and Palou, he is for sure considering the fact that Palou Again, Palou ran a rookie year. He did wreck a few race cars, but at the same time, he's a rookie. And maybe Chip Ganassi sees him as a potential winner in the future. Whereas Ferrucci, he's been in the series for 2-3 years. He's made some bold moves. He's run up front. But he really doesn't have a podium to show for it. And at the same time, he's wrecked a lot of race cars doing some crazy, crazy stuff. And it definitely showed in those final races. So I think definitely it might have knocked him a little bit further down that top free agent class. Who knows? The other thing is, I've heard rumors he's linked to the Andretti car. Maybe he's got a future at Andretti Autosport, and that's just already a locked up deal. Who knows? He could also be returning to Dale Coyne Racing in Vassar Sullivan. He could very well be returning to that ride. There's just so many possibilities as to why Palou is considered over him. And again, I think Palou's got a bright future in the series. He ran well this year. I think, again, like everybody else, he's got things to work on. He's got a lot of things to work on. So does Ferrucci. But I think Palou, between Ferrucci and Palou, I think Palou could learn a lot more over at Chip Ganassi Racing. I think if you look at Santino Ferrucci's resume, and again, you know, there was an incident in, I believe, F2 where he wrecked a teammate. You know, is that hindering him? It could be. I'm not going to say it is. But there are things certainly that might hamper his chances over there. And certainly things that, again, Chip Ganassi's probably taking all these things into account. And maybe he sees, okay, Palou's bold. He makes some great moves. He's a great racer. He's going to be good. And maybe that was the decision process here. But again, we will wait for that announcement. I'm sure it'll be coming very soon as far as, you know, who will drive that 10 car. The other big announcement at Chip Ganassi is who will drive the 48 with Jimmy Johnson, or who will share it with Jimmy. And of course, that announcement hopefully will also come in the near future, but we'll keep our eyes peeled. Anyway, we want to thank you for watching. Be sure to like or dislike. Be sure to subscribe if you did like our video, and check out our social media feeds. Of course, we got Facebook. And again, we will have a big announcement coming soon on this channel regarding the future, regarding what we want to do here. So I would definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled in the coming weeks. And hopefully we will have a big announcement real soon here on SCN. Until then, bye everyone.